Hello from MashpeeTV. I'm Chris Boyd, a Mashpee resident and business owner. I'll be the moderator of today's MashpeeTV 2020 School Committee Candidates Forum. Joining me as a co-moderator is Mike Deasy from the Mashpee Enterprise. This forum is an opportunity for the candidates to speak to Mashpee voters. The questions I'll be asking were submitted by community members, including parents, students, the news media, civic leaders, and other interested citizens of Mashpee. From all the questions submitted, we have selected those that best cover the range of issues that will be facing members of the Mashpee School Committee and those that will allow voters to better know the candidates seeking to serve on our school committee. Each candidate will have a 1 minute for an opening statement, 2 minutes to address each question, as well as a 1 minute response to any follow-up question the moderator may present to further clarify a candidate's response. Each candidate will also have 2 minutes for a closing statement. We'll get to the first question shortly, but first let's meet the candidates. Michael Lowry, Nicole Bartlett, and Candace Aselton. I'm sorry, Cathy Lewis. Nicole, your mic is off. Thank you for being here. Each candidate has 1 minute for their opening statements. The candidate's order was chosen at random earlier, so Michael, will begin with you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mike Lowry, running for a school committee. Somewhat newcomer to Mashpee and the Cape. I've been living here for 4 years, Massachusetts for about 9, 10. I'm an air traffic controller at the Hyannis Airport. And my interest in serving on the school board is I have done this before in New York. I was a school board member for 2 terms in Akron, New York, a small school district, well, but similar size to Mashpee, 1,500, 1,600, but Western New York. I have 3 adult daughters who all went to the public school system, and it was very rewarding. It was a good school district. It had a lot of parental support, and so I see good results from a public education. That's my big motivation for wanting to serve on this committee. My background on the school board also includes budget advisory, and I have a master's in school business administration that is designed for school management in New York. I'm certified to do that. I was pursuing a job as a business manager in a school district, but in the meantime, this job as a controller came up. So, which I had done before. I'm a retired federal controller from Buffalo and Washington National. So I took the job 2012 in Hyannis. So I bring that background to it. I've seen the success of good public education in a very similar school district. I have a solid financial background, served as the treasurer of 2 nonprofits, 501c3s. And so I do have some financial, practical financial background to bring to the job. And look forward very much to serving on the committee.
Thank you, Mike. Nicole, an opening statement, please.
Hi, and thank you, MashpeeTV and everyone else who enabled this candidate forum. I'm just finishing my first term on Mashpee School Committee. My husband and I have 2 kids in Mashpee Public Schools, a son at the middle school and a daughter at Quashnet Elementary. I've worked for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration for 17 years. Some of the main things I focus on in my work is team building, communications, budgeting, and helping the organization strive for excellence. I've been applying these skills directly as a member of the school committee. Because of my contributions to the committee, we have a more collaborative relationship with the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe and the town. We have more transparent communications around our school budget. We have improved community outreach. We've empowered and trained teachers, and our students are growing every day into the kind of people who care about their community and each other. we are by any measure on the rise, and I'm excited for what's next for Mashpee, and I'd like to continue my work on the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Cathy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cathy Lewis, and I'm asking for your vote for school committee on June 23rd. I've spent the last 6 years very actively involved in my daughter's education in the Mashpee public school system. I'm a member of the school council, which is the principal advisory committee. I did 2 years at the Coombs School, and I'm in my third year on that committee at the Quashnet School. I have volunteered with parent-teacher organization since kindergarten on. My daughter's in 5th grade now, so done quite a few years there. Most recently, I am the recording secretary of the PTO at the Quashnet School. I've also been participating in the Planning for Success, which has been working with the superintendent, administrators, parents, and community members to help develop a 3-year district improvement plan. And in addition to all that school volunteer time, I'm also a troop leader and the service unit coordinator for Mashpee Girl Scouts, which this year won the council's president's award, which was kind of, we just found that out, so it was a little exciting. I grew up in Mashpee, and after earning my bachelor's degree in writing and communications, I chose Mashpee to raise my daughter in. The Mashpee public school system gave me such a great foundation. I'm hoping to continue that for future generations. I hope to bring my communication skills and the ability to, work together to help parents and the school committee and other members of the community understand what's going on in school and help improve it.
Great, thank you, Cathy. My first question is for you, Nicole. With school closures now ordered through the end of the school year and possible closing summer programs, what are the most current pressing issues facing the school committee during the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, it's a very strange time, to be sure. I think, from where I sit, to reopen the schools is something that folks are not really focused on right now. There's a lot of discussion about reopening businesses and getting things back to normal and people back to work. But in my experience, schools take a lot of planning. There are just many, many details to work out. And so I think for us, we're anxiously awaiting guidance from the state and the federal government about what we're supposed to do moving forward. We're also trying very much to, do what we can for our seniors. This is a really strange thing. My hope is that this class of 2020 across the nation will have a very similar experience. And so I think that will unite them as kind of a cohort as they go off into their lives. But I think that it's a time when we lost a lot of our rituals associated with school, and we have to create new rituals in this time of uncertainty. I don't think we're going to be getting guidance anytime soon, but we know that we're going to need additional services for social emotional wellness, and we're going to be picking up gaps from kids who have not, handled this remote learning opportunity well. So to me, there's just a whole lot that I don't feel is a part of the national discussion. And that's why, as a member of the school committee, I've really been focused. I'm the chair for Division 7, which are all the Cape and Islands districts, as well as Carver and Wareham across the bridge. There's about 130 school committee members in that group. And so I'm leading an effort to hear and learn from other districts and also support our shared needs for, what you might call professional development, but just getting some shared awareness on some of the topics. I'm also a member of the Regional Council for American Indian Alaska Natives as part of the National School Board Association. And so I'm using my connections there to really hear about what people are doing across the country as well. So I think there's a lot to learn from other places. We're keeping our eyes and ears open, but we're really hampered by a lack of guidance right now.
Michael, what do you see as the most current pressing issues facing the school committee during the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, I think we're fortunate because on the state level, we have some pretty good guidance from Governor Baker and on what's on a timetable of when to come back. And school committee, I think, can feel comfortable. Whatever the state medical people and what the governor says on how to go about that, the committee would be absolutely involved in step by step doing exactly what's necessary to get us going in the fall. It's it's a brand new world. There's a financial new world. There's I had the fortune of talking to your business manager, and he informed me that there's a fair chance that as the state takes a financial hit, it'll work its way back down to the school districts. So the school committee will be doing everything it can to absorb that, working with the town. And also there needs to be a consistent voice, as representatives of the constituents of the district here. There needs to be a clear, very consistent voice coming to them about what's coming down, procedures, plans. I've seen, where, this on the school board in New York, that's most critical. You don't want two voices coming down from one part of the school and then another from the committee. So it's imperative. And at these times, the messages we get will have to be consistent and concise.
Cathy, how do you view the most current and pressing issues facing the school committee during the pandemic?
I think a lot of what Nicole said in terms of the social emotional side of it, there's definitely going to be a need to make sure that that's addressed. The kids kind of had such an abrupt end to everything, and so much was kind of left hanging. I think that that's definitely something that's going to need to be looked at and incorporated into whatever new normal the schools have. My other concern too, looking at opening the schools, where we're at with vaccines and numbers and all that stuff in September, which is all so still up in the air. You're going to be looking at cleaning. I mean, you're going to have to keep the schools pristine for the most part because you don't want to see another outbreak happen. You also make sure that, like Nicole also said, again, this was on my list, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating it, but basically it's that those kids that didn't necessarily cope during this time, because not everybody is a good independent learner. And even though they were having the Zooms, they had access to the Chromebooks, which was fantastic because not all school districts did. And it is one thing that makes Mashpee very unique is that our students did have access to all of those technologies. That doesn't necessarily mean that it translated well at home once those technologies were put in place. So I think, getting everyone back up to speed, getting everyone back up to where they were prior to this is definitely going to take some time, some extra resources, and just patience, and making sure we're doing it in a sane and step-by-step way that isn't rushing it, that is definitely well thought out, well planned out, and following the guidelines that seem to be being followed at the time. So that's kind of how I view this whole pandemic issue.
Thank you, Cathy. Mike, I'll turn it over to you. You have a question.
Yeah, I would just like to follow up and push us more towards thinking specifically about the budget that I know Mike just mentioned. So with the pandemic affecting state and local revenues, how do you see the school committee approaching next year's budget cycle? What kinds of solutions would you consider in the event that revenues fall short? And Cathy, we're going to start with you on this one.
Well, when you look at how the school's operating right now, I mean, we haven't, the school committee did approve the budget, but it hasn't gone yet. The fiscal year's, I believe, going to end prior to town meeting or just around town meeting. So it's a little up in the air. And I think that, if we were to look at what cuts are proposed, what they're looking to add, I do think that we'll be able to recoup what we need to in terms of making it work going forward. The school committee so far, I think, has done a very good job in terms of ensuring that, school choice funds, grants, all of those other funds that come in from outside to supplement what the town gives has helped. Whether or not that, that's going to be enough, I think it would have to really be looked at very closely and, maybe retuned in some places. But I do think using the resources that they have currently, even if we had to operate on this year's budget, I think it would be doable. Not ideal, but doable, you know? So that's, I think, what we would need to look at. And again, with so much up in the air, and you really need to wait and see, I think, of how this all plays out in the end, really.
And Mike Lowry, what do you think? How should the school committee approach next year's budget cycle?
Well, coming from New York, which the school budget is a bit different. They'll have their own budget. They don't go through the town yet. There's a couple challenges, so to speak. The things that go off budget, you know, they work with the town. If there's any chance that you could take some things that you were budgeting and put them into a capital project, and they'll be part of the town and get the 40% reimbursement, by all means, just to relieve that. You could work harder. We could double up our time on grants. I mean, we get, was it $740,000 in grants here, but there's a private source of income there. We could pursue that a whole lot harder. And whereas the state money, just, you know, work with our legislators to ensure that it doesn't get cut. Excuse me. And working with the town, there's a number of things that do come off budget from the town, and get them to relieve if we have budget constraints or face cuts. Work with the town to get them to relieve as many items that they can pick up that the school budget may not be able to. You don't want to try and renegotiate salaries. I mean, that's the in benefits. That's the bulk of the budget there. So that's, by all means, you know, something you want to avoid.
And Nicole, how should the school committee approach next year's budget cycle?
Well, I'm pleased to report that the school committee has taken a very proactive stance in terms of budgeting. One of the things we started in my time on the committee is a 5-year forward-looking budget that we use for internal planning. We've sort of used that so as a no surprises rule with the town manager, and so that he can anticipate that as we go forward with necessary increases. You might recall that, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, we were held to 0.5% increase, which really put us behind in terms of our 80% cost of salaries. And so we've been recovering from that in a level service environment for these last 3 years. We've already worked with the capital committee to look at what we can move over to capital. Rodney, our town manager, has been really helpful in that regard. And I am very concerned that one of the capital improvements we had discussed, artificial turf and converting our fields, that's really going to be in jeopardy with a looming recession. I think what I've heard the business managers estimate is we're about 18 months behind. You know, so 18 months from now is when that it could really hit us hard. So I'm concerned about that, especially with the town ready to take action on wastewater. And so we're going to have some competitive, priorities. And so I think you need a really strong advocate on the school committee who's going to make sure that our students don't suffer as a result of that. We do have one of the best grant writers I've ever seen in our assistant superintendent, Hope Hanscom. All she does is win. I'm telling you, that woman has brought in so much money for the school district, and her team is fabulous. But our federal grant money is decreasing, and it keeps decreasing. And I'm guessing, oh, can you guys still hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, my earbud just sort of evaporated in my ear. So we're losing federal dollars, and so the grant money that Hope has been able to bring in and that team is barely offsetting what we're losing in those grants from the feds. So I think the other thing I would add is that we are giving a lot of money back this year to the town. So one of the advantages of a school closure is you don't have busing costs. And so that transportation money, for example, which is pretty expensive and free to all of our families in the district, is going to go back to the town. And we're expected to hear about that, I think, tomorrow evening from Mr. Funk in terms of what exactly that give back is going to be this year. So I'm told not to worry for this year, even though we don't have an approved budget yet. And town meeting is scheduled to happen just a week or two before the end of the fiscal year. It's next year's budget that I'm more concerned with. And so I think it'll be, and we do have a little bit of cushion in school choice funds. The other upswing is more students are coming to Mashpee. We have more people choicing into Mashpee than ever before. So our choice revenue could go up a little. We do maintain a floor of that account. And so whatever that differential is, we might be able to contribute a little bit more to keep services level if there's a really severe budget crunch. So
Nicole, thanks. Mike, I'm going to turn to, and I hate to stay focused solely on the pandemic, but it is on everybody's mind. It's created truly unprecedented times for all of us and created new hurdles for the school district, from managing rapidly changing statewide policies to budgeting. I want to ask, what of your experience, professional or otherwise, do you feel has most prepared you to oversee the school district at this challenging moment?
I'm sorry, that's for me?
Yes.
Please. Oh, in reference to the pandemic or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I guess you can look at the pandemic as, obviously some type of crisis. I'm familiar with budget crises where the state would give and the state would take away. There's a lot of variables that you'd have to adjust with. The state could change the retirement calculations. Insurance could go through the roof. So you'd actually have to adjust that. I more or less defer. We're just beneficial. Again, defer to the state. They're going to give us a roadmap. For cleanliness, they're going to give us a roadmap. For how we can open and any guidelines we can go for. And we're fortunate, I think, to have them. Just be the voice of the, we'll be talking to our constituents. The most important thing I did as a school board member was I take the phone calls from the residents there, and just have a very clear, concise voice, and know what you're talking about, and help prepare them and give them an accurate picture when they get that call.
Nicole, what do you, of your experience, both professionally and otherwise, do you think has most prepared you to oversee the school district at this challenging moment?
Well, I think, experience in government is pretty helpful right now. I've been a civil servant for almost 20 years now, and, learning how to work collaboratively with people and really communicating. Also kind of understanding your lane. I mean, the superintendent is in charge of the schools. I help, I evaluate her, I, approve the budget and review policy. I mean, the school committee lane is very specific. And I think we have a fabulous administrative team right now. That team of principals and their assistant principals and the administration is I mean, let's be honest, everything's going well because they are really good at what they do. And so I think, you have to put some trust in the people that you've hired to do these jobs, not get in their way, and, find out what they need. And, I think, for us, the school committee, being able to be responsive to the town manager and any questions that the FinCom has and those folks, that's why we developed this really nice budget narrative. It sounded like Mike was looking at it earlier. I mean, we did this for the town, for the school. That's such an amazing tool. Any question you have, anything that you want to know about school operations is in there. And I've heard from selectmen across the Cape that it's a model for other districts to follow. So this is, you know, we do stuff like this. We help kind of get things organized and make sure that the superintendent and her team has all the tools that she needs to get us through this. And I think that's really important right now in terms of that experience and those relationships I have with that team and the community here.
Cathy, I'd pose the same question to you. What of your experience do you feel has most prepared you to oversee the school district at this moment?
I think my communications background, I come from also a hotel background. I worked in hotels for, gosh, I want to say almost 18 years before I got more into the communications side of things. And, you know, being able to effectively discuss these issues, you know, Nicole referenced the booklet for the budget guide that they created. Those are the types of things that I definitely enjoy making sure that they're out there because they're more digestible to the community. They're able to really sink their teeth in, understand, know, and that does alleviate a lot of the questions. I think being able to be that place where the questions can be answered, you know, again, it's policy, it's the budget, it's overseeing the superintendent's job and making sure that she's fulfilling what she needs to fulfill in support for the schools themselves, the administrative team. We kind of are that go-between in a sense, though, to make sure that that's being done in an effective way. During the pandemic, you know, the communication's been great, and I think continuing that and ensuring that that level of communication stays in place is vital, because I think so many people, you know, parents and community members don't necessarily understand everything that goes on in those schools, and it's kind of amazing when you look at it. And I think you can only improve upon what's already been started, and that's kind of what I think I would be able to bring in a type of situation like this.
Thanks. Mike, you have a question.
Nicole, we'll start with you this time. In the past few years, collaborations between the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe and the Mashpee School District have resulted in new programming, a language class, and a new certification program for teachers. What are the next steps for continuing collaboration between the tribe and the school district? What work still needs to be done?
What a great question. I'm so glad you asked about this. This is like one of the things I'm most proud of. I'm trying to look at the camera and not your face on my screen, so sorry about that. You know, there's a leadership team now that meets quarterly, and those are folks from the tribe, their education department, their Native Youth program, as well as our administrative team on the Mashpee side. And when they started meeting, I mean, I was designated the liaison to the tribe my very first year on the school committee, and I haven't given it up because it's one of my favorite things that I get to do. And we, when we had our first engagement with the tribe at the Tribal Government Center that fall, we had a joint school committee meeting there. And we decided that having some regular dialogue between the administration and the tribe would be productive. And I'm telling you, they came up with dozens and dozens and dozens of things that they wanted to do together. And so that list is still in the works. Some of the things that are coming up, we did have a 10-week culture-based certification that was taught by the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. We have 50 teachers have taken that training and become certified in our district. I'd like to see more. That offering needs to be continued on a regular basis so that we can slowly get all of our 200 plus teachers in the district with that certification. We also have plans for a seal of biliteracy on diplomas this year. That'll be the first time that we've ever done that, and that will of course include the Wampanoag offering. So if they are certified biliterate in Wampanoag, that will be something that's on their diploma. That's never been done before. We still have a gap in terms of connection between these two communities. And I think the more that we do together, the more that we work, play, and live together around the community of our children and our schools is going to reap dividends for every one of our students. Because a more confident and secure kid is always going to be a better learner. And we have such an opportunity with the tribe being in our town, people who know so much history about this land and about their connection to this land that can be shared with our students and educators. So I think building off of the success we've already had, I think we've discovered some really positive strategies. The other thing that I do a lot in my work, if you really want to build trust with people and you know, to build new relationships, you have to go to where those people are. And so, you know, going to their house, going to their backyard. And so having the basketball games at the Tribal Government Center, Mark Balistracci and Matt Treveri making that happen 3 years running. Our team is, they're like 5-0. The boys have won every game that they've played there. So I think they want to keep doing that. We also had our first hackathon at the Tribal Government Center. So that was a STEM event for the high school, the middle high school, that was held at the Government Center.
Nicole,
and that brought in students from, I'll finish right now, sorry. And that brought in students from across the Cape. So more events at the tribe, more everything. I just love it. Thank you.
And Cathy Lewis, to you, how should we best continue the collaboration between the tribe and the school district?
Yeah, you know, growing up in town and having known a lot of tribe members as a kid and going and learning what I learned from them, seeing the advantage, you know, like what is now offered. You know, you've got the Wampanoag language, you've got, like Nicole said, the basketball games that are happening now. You've got the events that are being held at the tribal community. I think, you know, when you're exposed to things, you understand them. When you live them, you can really get used to them and appreciate them. And I think that the more we engage like this, it's only going to be good for both sides. You know, getting more representation for the tribe within the school district is very important as well. Being able to have that pride of, I'm a Wampanoag, I go to Mashpee Public Schools, I'm able to be myself in that school. You know, during Native American Month, they did that amazing presentation to the school where the dancers came in, the drummers. It was really something. And, you know, for people who might not have ever known about what it is to be a Native American, you know, like myself, you know, I'm always still learning. I'm always eager to learn because these are our neighbors. They're part of our community. This is Mashpee, you know, they are Mashpee. So it's making sure that they feel represented, making sure that we are able to continue to promote that culture of acceptance, of inclusion, and just continue to have these events, continue to expand upon them. And you know, if Nicole's saying we're hoping to get more Cape-wide, then that's even more fantastic, because now you're really giving them a platform to shine through the school district, saying, you know, yeah, you're a great student, you're doing these projects, let's show more than just Mashpee, let's show everyone. And I think that kind of empowerment and that kind of encouragement, it goes miles. So yeah, that's exactly what I think needs to happen in terms of continuing to improve that relationship. So thanks.
And to Mike Lowry, what do you say? How should we best continue the collaboration between the school district and the Wampanoag tribe?
Well, what I hear is very similar to where I'm coming from. We had a native population from the Iroquois Mohawk in Western New York, and like here, like with Nicole, we had a liaison, a committee, a Native American committee. I got to serve on that for a while. We taught the language, the Iroquois language at school, which was just unbelievable. It just, with an emphasis on doing everything we could just to maintain knowledge of the heritage and help them, you know, all of the Native students that, you know, the school board would routinely go to the reservation and be involved in events. And we routinely had, and every day we had 1 or 2 days where from the reservation, they would put on a presentation, which it sounds like what you're doing here. So by all means, I guess, to just continue what you're doing. The goal being is to incorporate all students from Native students in all aspects of the curriculum, in athletics, in the arts, in all grade levels, and just to make sure that they're part of this. That they're not centered there. Should there ever be an issue, deal with it head on. I mean, I say that because there were some issues from time to time, and if they're left to foster, oh Lord, just be proactive with anything that happens, and you'll have a lot of success. Work with the liaisons and work with the tribe, and do everything you can to make them fully integrated part of the whole school.
Thanks. Good news. That's the end of our questions. I'm going to move on to closing statements. And Cathy, if I could let you go first.
That's all right. Thank you, moderators, my fellow candidates in MashpeeTV, for allowing us the opportunity today to discuss these issues and points. I truly believe that a strong foundation, starting with a well-rounded education, is the best way to ensure that the future of Mashpee will be bright. If elected to school committee, I will continue to work hard to make sure that the children are always at the forefront of every decision. I will bring a strong communication background to help continue to improve the exchange of information between the school committee, parents, and the town. Being able to understand what is going on is important to increase engagement, and I strongly believe that we continue to improve upon what is happening at school committee meetings and how it is implemented within school. It will make a difference to all. I will actively listen to all sides of the issues and learn what I can before making informed decisions. My commitment is to the children of Mashpee, as proven by my years of volunteer work, both within the school through PTO and school council, as well as within the community through Girl Scouts. Being elected to the school committee will allow me to continue to advance the opportunities of the children in this town and make sure that Mashpee is a leader in academics as well as college preparedness, work preparedness, and are well-rounded citizens who understand the importance of being engaged in their community. I ask that on June 23rd that you cast your vote for me, Cathy Lewis, either in person or by early ballot, which you can apply for online through the town website. Thank you.
Thank you, Cathy. Mike, would you like to do a closing statement?
Well, I'm pretty excited to get back into the public education here. It was a pretty rewarding time, 2 terms, 6 years on the school board in New York. And I just saw firsthand how a successful public education can work, with the collaboration of the parents and the total community. I have 3 daughters that all went to college, 2 Boston colleges. I'm just very proud of the efforts there. I'd like to, bring my background, my financial background, to help out here. We do have some pretty serious times here, and I'm willing and ready to take the phone calls. I mean, that's one of the bulk of it. You get them and says, "Hey, Mike, what's going on here?" and making sure I'm ready for that. I confess I do have a learning curve. There's a budgeting process that's different from where I'm coming from. There's a funding process that's different. And I've been fortunate to have some talk with your administrators to get me a leg up on that. So I bring a lot to the table. I ask for your vote, and I'm ready to learn.
Hey, Nicole, and could you give us a closing statement?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, great. I was just checking my my audio. So thanks for having us tonight. Being your representative on the Mashpee School Committee has been a tremendous privilege, and it's one that I don't take for granted. I've been focused from the beginning on bringing more positive change to Mashpee and learning just as much as I can. We are better connected to the Mashpee tribe, to town officials, because of my time on the committee. I also spearheaded the development of an annual survey to collect feedback from Mashpee families, feedback that I've seen directly impact programming. I championed the addition of a full-time district outreach coordinator who's just getting her legs under her when this school year was cut short. And so I'm excited at what she can do to help with all of the volunteers in our schools who are just tremendous. I've helped review and update every single district policy. I led contract negotiations, and I've served on both local, statewide, and national boards to build new connections for the Mashpee schools. I am so proud of our school district. By any measure, we are on an upward trajectory. We have an award-winning robotics program, a thriving no-cost pre-K, new computer science offerings, girls volleyball is new. We have a store at the Mashpee Commons. We have certified trainers now in mental health first aid. We've completed social emotional screenings for every student in the district. And we even offer that 10-week culture-based certification for our teachers taught by the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. And the secret is getting out. Not only were we just ranked 3rd best high school on Cape Cod and in the top 100 statewide, but we're also seeing our school choice numbers rise. More kids want to come to Mashpee than ever before, and we're ready. Mashpee is recognized for our career pathways, which give our students opportunity to pursue their passions in robotics, applied technology, and the culinary arts. And this year, we've added health services and advanced manufacturing. Imagine being certified as an EMT or a CNA upon graduation and what that's going to do for our job market here on Cape Cod. For our college-bound kids, we offer a staggering number of AP classes for our size. And starting this year, we are covering AP testing for everybody. That's something that the school committee did. If a kid can earn college credit because of their drive and determination, the cost of an AP test shouldn't stand in their way. And for those who are relying on athletic scholarships to go to college, or even acting or music, we need to make sure that our facilities are the best that they can be. We have to be able to provide something for everybody. And I think we already do this at Mashpee. And I'm excited to see what's next, to be a part of Mashpee even better. And I'd love to continue as your Mashpee School Committee member. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nicole, and thank you all for helping make this format. I know it's unusual, and you really appreciate it.
I'm getting used to it.
That concludes Mashpee TV's 2020 School Committee Candidates Forum. Thanks again to all the candidates for participating. Please let your family and friends know they can watch replays of this forum on channels 99, YouTube, and Facebook right up to Election Day. And don't forget to cast your vote at the Quashnet School on Election Day, which this year is on Tuesday, June 23rd. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The town clerk is recommending that you consider voting early by mail. Go to the link below to receive a vote by mail application. With my colleague, Mike Deasy, I'm Chris Boyd. This is Mashpee TV. Thank you for watching and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.